الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. اللهم رب
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد فإن خير الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. صدق الله العظيم. أما بعد, all praises are due to Allah. We thank Him and praise Him. We believe and testify that there is no God worthy of worship except Allah, and that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His handpicked messenger. May the peace, mercy, and blessing of Allah be upon Rasulullah, his family, and whoever follows him towards righteousness until the day of Qiyamah. Amma ba'd ibadallah, the khutbah today is a continuation of the initial one or the last one regarding the importance of knowledge, seeking knowledge and applying knowledge, the benefits in this life and the life hereafter. We did mention in our previous khutbahs regarding some of these benefits. Allah even said that the Prophet said in a hadith that the entire world is cursed and whatever it contains, with the exceptions of the remembrance of Allah. and everything that surrounds that, and the scholar and the seeker of knowledge. If you are not among this circle, the Prophet said you are cursed. الدنيا ملعونة ملعونة ما فيها إلا ذكر الله تعالى وما والاه وعالما ومتعلما. إلا, except dhikrullah, those that are engaged in the remembrance of Allah while standing, while reclining, while sitting. ويتفكرون في خلق السماوات والأرض ربنا ما خلقت هذا باطلا سبحانك. Our Lord, you have not created this in vain. Glory be to you. You're far above imperfection. So Allah has caused the entire world except those who engage in dhikrullah in different forms. And the greatest form of zikr is the recitation of Quran. And the scholar and the one going out to seek knowledge, spiritual knowledge, beneficial knowledge. For tabarakallah. When we seek knowledge, when we are educated, among the benefits in this life and the life hereafter is it leads to career progression. We did mention that. For tabarakallah. Another benefit of seeking knowledge is it helps in character building. Like it teaches us the right behavior and good manners, which is instrumental in the development of our virtues and in the development of our value. It makes us self-confident and develops our ability to think, analyze, and judge. It is also the backbone of society, and we can rightly say that it makes us more human. When you are knowledgeable, you have the knowledge, and you act upon it, then it starts benefiting you, and that's where your human character shows off, for tabarakallah. It leads us to an enlightened state. In other words, it leads to enlightenment. It wipes out the wrong belief in our minds and help create a clear picture of things around and erase every confusion. إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهُ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاءِ. Among the servants of Allah, those who fear Allah are the knowledgeable. So knowledge without practice is useless. If you fear Allah based on what you know, trying to avoid the prohibitions, then you are knowledgeable. But it doesn't matter how much knowledge you have. If it's not applicable, then you cannot be considered someone that's knowledgeable. But it is only through knowledge that you know this is right and this is wrong. It is only through knowledge that you realize what I was doing yesterday is not right. I have to change. I was praying for the past 5 years, and part of my prayer, this I included. Now I have learned that this is not part of it. I'll rectify it. So that every day you pray, learn to make your prayer even better than yesterday. Today I'm praying Zuhur. Tomorrow my Zuhur, I would try to make it better than that of yesterday. In terms of recitation, in terms of khushu, in terms of qudu, in terms of ruku, in terms of sujud, in terms of whatever you need to say in every step of the prayer. Don't just be satisfied with what you've been saying 30 years ago. Maybe you've been saying it wrong. Maybe the knowledge imparted into you wasn't right. Maybe that wasn't part of the sunnah. Maybe you are adding into it that which is not part of it. Maybe you're omitting that is very essential and important. So continue learning on a regular basis. Learn how to pray. Learn everything, because the Prophet came in order that we can emulate him. We can learn from him. No wonder he said, pray as you have seen me prayed. We did mention about a hadith of a man who came to the masjid, prayed. Each time when he greeted the Prophet will resound the salam and will say to him, go back and pray. You haven't prayed. Because he was mixing up everything. He wasn't doing the ruku properly. He wasn't doing the sujud properly. The postures were wrong. Who knows what he was saying? So we need to learn on a regular basis. And this can only be achieved through education and after having had knowledge. It helps a nation to progress. With education, a country's literate population are its assets. For tabarakallah, the future of a nation is safe in the hands of the educated, not the illiterates. Financial stability and dignity of life could be achieved through education and having a beneficial knowledge that would help you in this life and the life hereafter. Knowledge helps you gain an academic qualification so that you are able to get a suitable employment. This gives you the independence and freedom from further financial support. You take pride in the fact that you are actually earning for yourself and you are not obligated to anyone, even though Allah is the provider. But Allah would not you wouldn't wait there for Allah to come and put it in your hand. You go and look for it. No wonder the Prophet said, the hand that is on top is better than the one that is underneath. The one giving for the sake of Allah is better than the one that is asking on a regular basis. Remember, our dua will not be accepted if at all our earning is haram. No wonder the Prophet said, make your food halal and your dua will be accepted. So if you steal, your food would not be halal. If you rob, it wouldn't be halal. If you commit any evil, any sin in order to earn your living, if you misappropriate people's wealth in order to eat, then your dua will not be accepted, because the food it's not halal, it's haram. You might have slaughtered the sheep saying Bismillah in the name of Allah, but the source is actually haram. You stole someone's property to buy that sheep. But with knowledge, with education, with the help of Allah, that could be the cause of you earning your living in a way that's pleasing to Allah, thereby making everything easy. And when you make dua, Allah accepts the dua. Remember, no one will be allowed to move a single step on Yawm al-Qiyamah except he's asked for questions. Among them is, how did you earn your wealth and how did you spend it? It has to be in a way that is pleasing to Allah. Someone will come on the day of Qiyamah with everything, but he would end up bankrupt because he stole from someone that needs to be compensated. He has backbeaten someone, they would take from his good deeds and give it to him. He has usurped the property of someone, he will be compensated. He shed blood of someone, he will be compensated. He has bullied someone, he will be compensated. No wonder the Prophet said, do you know Mal Muflis, who is the bankrupt person of my ummah? When they started making definition, he said, no, it's the one who came with so much good deeds, with salah intact, everything intact, but has come after having done so much wrong to others. And even everyone is compensated to the extent that he has nothing left, they would add their sins to his sin, and Allah will throw him in Jahannam. It's the bankrupt person. It is said an idle mind is the devil's workshop. When you are educated, that's not the case, because education and knowledge helps people to utilize their idle hours doing something that is productive and worthwhile based on knowledge gathered. Now, this could otherwise be turned into thoughts of violence, jealousy against those well-off, drug addiction, unnecessary rebellion, crime, and anything pleasing to the devil. Because I don't have anything to do. I'm not educated. I'm not knowledgeable. I don't have anything to put hands on. I'm just idle. I'm just looking for an opportunity and I'll make the most of it. Again, Sadaqa Jariyah, beneficial knowledge. The Prophet said, خَيْرُكُمْ مَنْ تَعَلَّمَ الْقُرْآنَ وَعَلَّمَهُ. The best among you are those who learned the Quran and teaches it. If you make someone memorize the Quran or teach someone the Quran, and he also teaches another the Quran, towards the end, in your credit, you might have hundreds, if not thousands of people that have learned Quran through you. Even if you leave this world and go to Barzakh, so long as that Quran or that beneficial knowledge you imparted are being utilized, for tabarakallah, that will find you in your grave. That's Sadaqa Jariyah. Allah said, the Prophet said to Ali radiallahu anhu, if a single man is guided through you, that is better than the red camels. Imagine what is a red camel 1,400 years ago. Compare that to the most expensive car today. So if you spend few minutes guiding someone, that is more valuable, more rewarding than the most expensive car on this earth right now. Maybe it will take you years to buy a car worth $500,000. You have cars that are costing millions. Just one single car. There is a car that costs more than $1 million. If you are responsible, so for someone doing good, that is better than that car. So when the Prophet said it's better than the red camel, it is better than everything that is valuable in this world. Allah makes the way to Jannah easy for him who pursues the path of seeking knowledge. If you pursue the path of seeking knowledge, Allah makes entry to Jannah easy for you. The Prophet said, envy, jealousy, hasad, anyan, kiliyah is abandoned, is unacceptable, is haram, except in respect of two. The person that is blessed with the Quran, knowledge of the Quran, and he teaches it day and night, that person is worth envy and emulation. Envy here is not hatred so that he wouldn't have it, but emulate him. Nye. So ware nye ken ci kaw suuf ñeel ki yàlla xammey xam-xam ba pare muy jàngale nit ñi ba pare di ci njëriñoo moom ci boppam. Act upon it and teaching others. And someone who is given a lot of wealth and he spends it day in and day out helping the needy. If you are to envy anyone, the Prophet said these two types of envy is allowed. Someone blessed with the Quran, he learns it, he teaches it, and he practicalizes it, he is worthy of envy. Someone given a lot of wealth and he spends it helping the needy, he is worthy of envy. Now, what is the importance of knowledge that's not acted upon? MashaAllah, ki mom dafa first step up xam-xam. Xam-xam bi amul ben njëriñ su dee nekkul di ko practicalize. Ñu ko be farin tep aning londo. Mo man lo ñinti. Qur'ano, fiqh, hadith, abeba kumala kono. Bari na buka barala na fatal. There is no goodness in knowledge which is not confirmed by action, or words which are not confirmed by deeds. Allah even warned those who have the knowledge and they don't act upon it. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu lima taquluna ma la taf'alun kabura maqtan 'inda Allahi an taqulu ma la taf'alun. Inna Allah yuhibbu alladhina yuqatiluna fi sabilihi ila akhir ayah. But what Allah said is, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, O you who have iman, lima taquluna ma la taf'alun. Why do you say things that you don't do? Kabura maqtan 'inda Allah. It is indeed a grave thing in the eyes of Allah, a serious crime in the eyes of Allah, that you be telling people what you don't do. One of the hadiths of the Prophet said, one of the severest punishment are meant for the scholars. Ya Rasulallah, which type of scholars? The scholars who do not act upon what they preach. So knowledge that is not practicalized is useless knowledge. Knowledge, when pursued and practiced with modesty and humility, will lead to dignity, freedom, and justice. One of the purposes of acquiring knowledge is to gain the good of this world and not to destroy it through wastage and arrogance, thereby depriving oneself of the good of the hereafter. Useful knowledge is that which is applicable in theory and practice. Useful knowledge is the one that is applicable in theory and practice. The application of knowledge is its fruit. Ite duto fi sanjitan nin lulu hanisa manding. Now the fruit of knowledge is practicalizing it. The application of knowledge is the fruit of knowledge. An ignorant man is far better than a scholar who does not apply his knowledge. An ignorant man is better than a scholar who doesn't apply his knowledge. أقول ما تسمعون واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. اللهم صل على محمد الذي نصر الدين وحب المساكين وكفل اليتيم وهدى إلى صراط المستقيم. أما بعد عباد الله. Some people are with the opinion that I am an old man, or I am old. I don't think I can learn anymore, or I don't think internalizing knowledge will be easy for me. Mandama mak hamga jangi mak kebala karamo. So that actually makes you lazy. When the Prophet said, seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave, meaning there is no age limit, even if you are at the age of 100. And innamal a'malu binniyat. These are based on the intention. If you have the intention of memorizing Quran, and you start from now, at the time of your demise, even if you do not memorize the Quran, you might be rewarded by Allah for memorizing the Quran, because that was your intention. So when should we stop learning? Education is not limited to only obtaining degrees or learning actually learning is a lifelong process which begin at the point where institutional education ends. Learning is a learning process, and it begins where you have finished your degree, you have earned your degree. Say to yourself, this is where it starts. So it starts where institutional education ends. That's where learning starts. I have my degree, because otherwise what would happen is there will be a decline of craftsmanship. When you say decline of craftsmanship, what that means is I have learned and now I'm not applying it, and I have stored my knowledge. After 5 years, I open the cupboard, it will never be there. Knowledge cannot be stored. If you don't apply it, if you don't refresh it, there will be a decline of craftsmanship. If you memorize the whole Quran and you stop reading the Quran, within few years, the Quran will leave you and go its way. That's how easy it is for the Quran to leave. There are many people who memorize the Quran. Now they don't even remember quarter of the Quran, because it's meant to be read on a regular basis every day, on and off. So knowledge cannot be stored. Otherwise, you will forget what you have learned. Real education is obtained from the lesson taught by life. Every day you learn something new. When you travel to the UK, if you have been here for 20 years, you didn't even realize that you have learned a lot without even sitting at the bench at school. There are so many things you can do which would have been otherwise difficult if you were not here. The very fact that you travel from one country to another, you have learned something new. If you travel to the Gambia, in the village, or one of the villages in the Gambia, you will learn something that you would never have learned elsewhere in Europe. There, the farmer is your teacher. He teaches you what you don't know. If he was to sit on a table and learn that, it would have taken him ages to achieve what he did. So it's a lifelong process. Life teaches you something new on a regular basis. Now aim for success, not perfection. Just aim for success, not perfection, because no man is perfect. Never give up your right to be wrong. It's not a problem to say I'm wrong, or even I don't know. A delegation came from Morocco over 1,200 years ago and visited Imam Malik when he was the greatest Imam of all time in Masjid al-Nabawi, because the scholars of Morocco needed an answer to a question. They don't have an answer to this. They sent an envoy to Medina. It took him over 5 to 6 months. Imagine over 1,000 years ago, the means of transportation. Over 6 months, when he arrived in Medina, he raised this question to Imam Malik, that the scholars of Morocco, they have a problem with this mas'ala, and I have been sent to you so that, of course, you can give us an answer to it. There was no telephone call then. Imam waited for a while and said to him, I don't know. And he was surprised. Imam, with all due respect, I traveled for over months, over 6 months, and you are the greatest scholar of our time. Then Imam, with regards to what he said to him, that's not true. That's how humble he was. He said, that's not true. But then his match at that time was not easy to be found. But due to humility, when he said to him, you are the most learned, he said, that one is not true. But go back to Morocco and tell everyone that Imam doesn't know. So aim for success, not perfection, because no man is perfect. Never give up your right to be wrong, because then you will lose the ability to learn something new. You have the right to be wrong and learn something new. Don't give up that right. It's my right. I'm wrong. I need to be rectified. And once rectified, I'll learn something new. That's my pride. I'm not taking pride in saying I know everything when that's not the case. I need to be humble. A man said to the Prophet, Ya Rasulallah, is it part of arrogance that we dress well? He said, no. Dress as beautiful as possible. Inna Allah jamilun yuhibbu jamal. Allah is beautiful and He loves beauty. Real arrogance is denying the truth and thinking you are better than everyone else. So be humble. So never lose your right to be wrong, because then you will lose the ability to learn something new and move forward with your life. Remember that fear always lurks behind perfection. Fear always hides behind perfection. A child educated only at school is an uneducated child, because it's a long process, a continuous process. Fatabarakallah. Now, not being sincere whilst teaching or seeking knowledge is a problem. Sometimes someone might be teaching but not being sincere. Imam might be sitting here reciting Quran in a melodious voice. But there's a hadith of the Prophet who even said, a munafiq, a hypocrite who recites the Quran in a nice voice is like a type of a fruit that might not smell good, that might smell good, but the taste is not good. So basically what we are learning from here is sometimes your actions might look fierce seeming, beautiful in the eyes of people. But if your heart is not clean, it's not sincere in what you're doing. I'm reciting the Quran so that you guys can say I have a good voice. A punishment awaits me because I'm showing off. MashaAllah, you have a beautiful voice. If you did say that, and that wasn't my intention, there is nothing wrong with that. But if at all is something different, then there is a problem. The Prophet ﷺ said, and listen to this hadith, he who acquires knowledge to compete against the scholars, I'm a scholar, man londo soto katambinteti, man kin opuma ham. So whoever acquires knowledge, because you want to compete among scholars or against the scholars, or to boast in front of the ignorant people, to boast in front of those who don't know, showing off in front of those who don't know, or to draw people's attention towards you because of your knowledge, then Allah will add him into Jahannam. Now, how many of us escape this? How many of us acquire knowledge, be it the knowledge of Quran, be it the knowledge of Hadith, or whatever knowledge there is? How many of us do have this? And our intention is not to compete among scholars. And our intention is not to show off in front of the ignorant. And our intention is not to draw people's attention towards ourselves. If that's the case, then there's a problem. Now to conclude, Ibadallah, this is to ourselves and even to our kids that are being educated. Every child has something that he or she is good at. You need to realize that. So every single child has something to offer. Do not underestimate your child. Every single child has something to offer. And the brain, the knowledge, like his brain is like an elastic. If you pull it, it would get to the level you've pulled it. If you leave it where it is, it would remain there. So you're actually hiding what he's capable of. And that might have been only unique to him. But you didn't give him the opportunity to explore the horizon of his knowledge, of what he is able to achieve by learning. So every child has something to offer. We owe it to them as much as they owe it to themselves to help them discover what that is. They owe it to themselves to discover that, but we should guide them. So we owe it to them. They can only achieve that through education. Now, every child in a classroom can be someone's whole world. A child today in a classroom can be someone's whole world tomorrow in terms of benefit. Education is a movement from darkness to light. This is the key to unlock the golden doors of freedom, Ibadallah. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the entire world. What did Allah say about Prophet Muhammad? وَالَّذِي أَرْسَلَ رَسُولَهُ بِالْهُدَى وَدِينِ الْحَقِّ لِيُظْهِرَهُ عَلَى الدِّينِ كُلِّهِ. He sent the Prophet with guidance and the true religion of Islam, so that it can prevail over all other religions. Fatabarakallah. And he sent the Prophet who is an ummi, an unlettered. But Allah taught him. He said to him, "Sanuqri'uka fala tansa." We'll teach you the Quran, you will never forget. And the Prophet never forgot the Quran. So there was so much darkness with knowledge of Quran and Hadith and Sunnah. Then light prevails all over the world. From darkness to light, because knowledge, spiritual knowledge for that matter, is light. Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Read in the name of your Lord who created. Khalaqal insana min alaq. Ikra wa rabbuka al-akram. Alladhi allama bil kalam. Allama al-insana ma lam ya'lam. He taught man what he doesn't know. Wonder it is said that the knowledge of science is the lost property of the believer and he should grab it wherever he finds it. May Allah grant us goodness for tabarakallah. May Allah grant us beneficial knowledge. Allahumma hdina fi man hadayt, wa afina fi man afayt, wa tawallana fi man tawallayt, wa barik lana fi ma atayt, wa qina wasrif anna sharra ma qadayt, fa innaka taqdi wa la yuqda alayk, innahu la yadhillu man walayt, wa la ya'izzu man adayt. تباركت ربنا وتعاليت نستغفرك من كل ذنب ونتوب إليك ونؤمن بك ونتوكل عليك ونثني عليك الخير كله يا من يجير ولا يجار عليه أجرنا من النار ومن خزي النار ومن كل عمل نقربنا إلى النار ودخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار يا عزيز يا جبار إنا نسألك رضاك والجنة ونعوذ بك من سخطك والنار إنا نسألك الجنة وما قرب إليها من قول أو عمل ونعوذ بك من النار وما قرب إليها من قول أو عمل والله لا إله إلا هو الحليم الكريم سبحان الله رب العرش العظيم والحمد لله رب العالمين نسألك موجبات رحمتك وعزائم مغفرتك والغنيمة من كل بر والسلامة من كل إثم والفوز بالجنة والنجاة من النار اللهم لا تدع لنا ذنبا إلا غفرته ولا هما إلا فرجته ولا دينا إلا قضيته ولا مريضا إلا شفيته ولا ميتا إلا رحمته ولا ضالا إلا هديته ولا مجاهدا إلا نصرته ولا عيبا إلا سترته ولا جاهلا إلا علمته ولا حاجة من هوائج الدنيا والآخرة هي لا قريضا ولنا فيها صلاة إلا قضيتها برحمتك يا عزيز يا غفار اللهم علمنا ما جهلنا وذكرنا كل ما نسينا اللهم علمنا ما جهلنا وذكرنا كل ما نسينا برحمتك يا أول يا آخر يا ظاهر يا باطن يا عليم إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون وأقيموا الصلاة